So part 2 of the medical coding, in which we are going to learn about the ICD-10-CM conventions. So the conventions are the set of instructional notation, symbol, abbreviation and formatting rules within the ICD-10 manual, and that guide coders in selecting the most accurate code. And as a coder, we must understand what is this notation, what are these symbols for. We begin with the first convention, which gives idea about alphabetical index, various parts of the alphabetical index, and the tabular list. And pretty much we have covered that in our previous lecture. And we have seen the structure of ICD-10-CM, what is the category, then the decimal point, their subcategories, and uh, how the codes have the 4, 5, 6, 7 characters, and the applicable 7 characters, where to look for that applicable 7 character. All that we have seen in the part 1. So there are 19 conventions in all together. I'm going number wise, and this is the third one. Some of the conventions requires a greater understanding. Now let us understand this important concept of the placeholder. It is a character X or the letter X. The X is used as a placeholder at certain code to allow for the future expansion. What does it mean? Means I'm going to take this example. In this example, this particular code does not, as of now, does not have the fifth character, but it has the seventh character. So because it doesn't have the fifth character, we put the placeholder X in that place so that it is holding the place of that particular character, and then we write the code like this. Sometimes there are two characters which are missing, then we might end up writing two placeholders, and then we write the code. So the placeholder X is used in order for the code to be considered a valid code, because otherwise, if the two characters are missing, and if we do not put the X and if we just leave the place like that, it will be very difficult for us to understand whether there are two characters or one character. So this helps us to understand that here there is a one character missing, while here there are two characters missing. Now, certain ICD-10-CM categories have applicable 7 character. The applicable 7 character is required for all the codes within that category, or as the notes in the tabular list instruct. The 7 character must always be the 7 character in the data field. If the code that requires a 7 character and it does not have the X character, then we put the X to fill the empty character, which we have seen the earlier. Now they have given this example here. This is the box where there is a clear-cut induction that appropriate 7 character is to be added to each code from the category T36, and here also it is there. So for every code in this, we will require a 7 character. Like for example, let us take this adverse effect of the penicillin, and if it has happened first time for the patient, then I will write T36.0x5a, because it is the first time it has happened. If it has happened, this is the second time, or it had happened earlier also, then it will be a subsequent encounter. So depending upon the data, we will pick up the seventh character. Now, next is NEC. NEC stand for the not elsewhere classified. This abbreviation in the alphabetical index represent other specified when a specific code is not available for a condition. So in the alphabetical index, you will see the entry specified, not elsewhere classified, and there will be a code. While in the tabular list, you will see that not elsewhere classified. This abbreviation in the tabular list represent other specified when a specific code is not available for a condition. So this is the code other dorsalgia. So this will be the tabular list entry. This is alphabetical index entry, and you can make an observation that most of the time whenever there is a NEC, the fourth and the fourth character is always 8 number, or the fifth character is always a 9 number. So usually it is 8, 9, which if it ends in 8 and 9, you can assume that this is a NEC. Now the next is NOS. NOS stands for not otherwise specified. So here you can see that there is a NOS and you have the code J06.9, that is not otherwise specified. The doctor was not specific about the infection. And if you go to J06.9, it is acute upper respiratory infection and which leads to unspecified. So because the doctor did not specify what kind of infection the patient has. So that's why you will NOS and this, and here you will see that the fourth character will be always 9. This particular convention is just the repetition of what you have learned in the previous slides of NEC and NOS, like not elsewhere classified and not otherwise specified. So when the medical record provide detail for which the specific code is not available, that means NEC, and when the medical record is insufficient to assign a more specific code, not otherwise specified. So this is just the repetition of that. Now the another important conventions is the bracket. Now first we are going to see what is the meaning of that in the alphabetical index. In the alphabetical index, the bracket means it identifies the manifestation code. So let us look at this particular thing where we have the two codes written or here also. So here you will see that this is the disease and this is the manifestation. The code which is written in the bracket is the manifestation code, and remember the manifestation code cannot be the principal diagnosis. So we will write this code first and followed by this code. So this is the alphabetical index. Now we come to the tabular list. In the tabular list, you will see that the bracket mainly consists of the synonyms, alternative wordings or explanatory phrases. For example, Haemophilus influenza, they may write H influenza. So the bracket doesn't have much importance as far as tabular list is concerned, but in alphabetical index, it is very, very important because it will tell you which code to go in the second place and which code to go in the first place. So let us understand the parenthesis used in both the alphabetical index and tabular list to enclose the supplementary words that may be present or absent in the statement of a disease, and they are called as a non-essential modifier. So have a look at this. The hypertension, you will see all these various non-essential modifier, while in the tabular list also we will see as a non-essential modifier. They do not affect the code number to which it is assigned. So the include note appears immediately under the 3-character code, and it mainly provide an extra explanation or example about what code category covers, and it lists the condition or synonym that fall under specific code. So basically this is just an extra explanation or example, and for all these things you can use this code. So the convention 12 is very important. It is a exclude notes, and there are two types of exclude note, exclude 1 and 2, and they have used the color coding for exclude 1. They have used the black, and exclude 2 is a gray color. So the black is strict no, where not coded here, and exclude 1 note indicate that the code excluded should never be used at the same time as the code above the exclude 1 note. So in this particular example, this code and this code will never go together. uh, Together. For example, the two conditions cannot occur together, such as the congenital form versus the acquired form of the same condition. It can't come together because congenital is at the present at the time of birth, and acquired is what the patient acquires in the life. So those two form cannot come together. While exclude 2 is not included here, and exclude 2 note indicate that the condition excluded is not a part of the condition represented by the code, but the patient may have both the condition at the same time. When an exclude to note appears under a code, it is acceptable to use both the code. So now there is an exclude to note here. So it is acceptable for me to use the code this one and this one if the patient has that. But A17.0 and A17.82 is strict no. Okay. Now, this 13th convention is very important because it's talking about etiology and manifestation. So, let us understand what is etiology. It is basically the cause or the main or the underlying disease, while the manifestation is the result or the effect, is mainly the symptom or the condition that caused by the main disease, is the manifestation. Now, while coding, you must understand that we always list the etiology first and then the manifestation. So the main disease and its effect, always like that. Now the etiology code you will usually say use additional code, and the manifestation code will usually say code first. So if a code include the phrase in disease classified elsewhere, it means it cannot be used alone or as the main diagnosis. It must be used with another code that shows the underlying disease and should come after that main code. So now let us understand this. Now this is a benign neoplasm of the endocrine pancreas. Below that you will see the word phrase use additional code to identify the functional activity. Now let us understand that the patient is having benign neoplasm of the endocrine gland or islets of Langerhans, and because of that they stop functioning, the patient develops diabetes. Now what has come first in the patient? Benign neoplasm, and because of that what effect? The patient is having diabetes. What has come first? This. So this is the etiology, and the manifestation will be identify any functional activity, that could be the diabetes. So this is the etiology code, and that second the diabetes mellitus, secondary diabetes mellitus will be the manifestation. Now come to the code first. Now this terminology, it is written below this code C46. Below that it is written code first HIV. So what happens is Kaposi sarcoma is a manifestation of HIV. What has come first? HIV. So I will write this code first followed by this. So what is this code? This is the manifestation code and this is the etiology code. Okay, again the indices classified elsewhere. What is this? This is the manifestation code. In disease classified elsewhere means we will have to code that disease first and followed by this code. So these two are the manifestation code while this becomes the etiology code. So I hope you have understood this. Now let us look at the next convention, that is and. The word and should be interpreted either and or when it appears in a title. So suppose this is a tuberculosis of bones and joints, you can also say tuberculosis of bones or joint. So tuberculosis of the bones, tuberculosis of the joint, and tuberculosis of the bones and joint are classified. So this is the way we can use this convention. Now the next is with. The word with or in should be interpreted associated with or due to. In the alphabetical index, you will see that under the main term or subterm, there will be the word with or due to. And there will be instructional note in the tabular list also. The classification presume a causal relationship between the two conditions linked by these terms in the alphabetical index or the tabular list. So here, so for example, acute with coma, acute hepatitis acute with coma, hepatitis acute with hepatic failure. So this is how we interpret with, and you will see due to also. So here in this example you will see the phrase due to or in. Now the next two important conventions are C and C also. So first let us understand C. The C instruction following the main term in the alphabetical index indicates that another term should be referred. It is necessary to go to that to the main term reference with the C note to locate the correct code. So what does it mean? So whenever we see the phrase C, in front of that we do not find the code. And unless and until we don't see the code, we can't code it. So for example, injury to the blood vessel, in front of that they have written C, injury, blood vessel, abdomen. Now in this case I am not getting a code. So if I go to the word injury, under that I'll go to the blood vessel and abdomen and finding the code. So whenever we see the phrase C, we have to follow that link to get the code. Okay, remember that. Now let us come to C also. C also instruction following the main term in the alphabetical index instruct that there is another main term and that is just a cross reference. But remember that in front of the C also we are getting the code. So it is not necessary for you to follow the C also note when the original main term provides the necessary code. But in the previous example, there was no code in front of C. So we had to follow the link to get the code. But here I am getting the code. Then this is the 17, which is code also. Code also note instruct that two code may be required to fully describe the condition, but this note does not provide a sequencing direction. So code also uh, just is telling you that there are two codes, but it doesn't tell which code to come first. Now the last but important convention is the default code. A code listed next to the main term in ICD-10-CM alphabetical index is referred to as the default code. So for appendicitis, which is a main term, the default code is K37. Now, beside those 18 conventions, there are some more, the symbol that you will see at the end of the page in the tabular list, and every symbol has a meaning, like the additional characters required, which is here. Then there is a placeholder, newborn, pediatrics, maternity, and adult. This symbol you will see in the maternity chapter, and then HCC, and all this symbol has a meaning which is written here. So here we finish with the conventions, and the next we'll go for the general coding guideline.